Whitlock, does Barkley owe Draymond an apology?
Huge Charles Barkley fan. Huge. Biggest fan. He's got to apologize here. He made a mistake. I think he's aware of it. I just don't think you sit on TV, particularly when your job is to market the game and disrespect one of your peers and colleagues, one of the stars, role player, whomever. It shouldn't have happened. I just think Charles got caught up in being Charles Barkley. He's a little over the top, and he's trying to be funny. I expect Charles to apologize and back away from these statements.
It's 2018. People have apologized for less. But, I mean, when you watch that, it was television. Like, I didn't take it seriously. Shaq's laughing. Kenny's laughing. Ernie laughing. Like, I never once thought, Charles going to punch him in the face.
I didn't think that, but you just don't say those type things.
Did it bother you?
Yeah, I mean, it bothered me, no, but I think he should apologize. I think he crossed the line. Like, he said things, he called LeBron's move when he went to Miami a punk move. He said things that are fine, but you can't advocate violence. That's the thing. I might give him a pass. I hate to say it this way, if I thought he really would punch him. But he's going to see Draymond in the Western Conference Finals, and it's not going to be any problem. Maybe he'll be like, try to smile in his face or whatever. But I think sometimes Charles thinks that what he says on camera, guys aren't really going to take that way. Because you've heard a lot of players say, well, when I see him, he's cool, and he'll laugh in my face and smile in my face. But then on TV, he's going to say stuff that's going to get you upset.
Yeah. So certain things, like you say, you just can't say. I think Draymond responded the way any man will respond. If you feel that way, then do it. If not, shut up. I think Shaq, like you said, he gets caught. I mean, not Shaq, excuse me. Charles get caught up too much in Chuck on TNT instead of being Charles Barkley. You can say certain things as being on TNT as that character as Chuck, but you got to live with those words. And you can't talk about you would punch him when there's a guy sitting 2 seats away from you that you had an actual fight with. If you don't have a problem with him, how could you have a problem with a guy that you don't barely even know? So Chuck, a lot of players respect Chuck, but when he's on TV being a character, being Chuck instead of Charles Barkley, that's what a lot of players don't respect.
Look, again, I think he made a mistake, and I think he's going to cop to it. I'll say this, and I'm throwing a bit of a curveball here, but between what Chuck just did, Russell Westbrook slapping at a fan, and last night, Kendrick Perkins and Drake getting into it. It's like, I don't think these things would be going on if David Stern were the commissioner of this league. I think Adam Silver is so soft, and there's so little respect for him that people are doing things completely out of character. Chris, you know very well, David Stern would go off on the television broadcasters. He'd call whoever's in control of ESPN or whoever. If he didn't like something that was being done on air, he would voice that opinion very strongly. I don't think Chuck would have made this mistake if David Stern were in the office. I think there would be repercussions for what Westbrook did. I don't think Kendrick Perkins would be fighting with Drake if there was some authority in the NBA.
I disagree.
Look, you're right. Stern ruled with an iron fist. But come on, Charles Barkley spit on a fan under David Stern's watch.
And got punished for it.
But stuff was happening. I mean, the Knicks and the Rockets in the finals, it was like a boxing match. Mm-hmm. The Malice in the Palace was under Stern's watch. Reggie Miller and Spike Lee, that was maybe fun, but
Kendrick Perkins.
Reggie Miller and Spike Lee going at it during the playoffs.
Kendrick Perkins ain't even dressed out.
You can't take that serious, though. That wasn't really what they blowing it up to be. That's just words between Drake and Perkins, which died right there. That's not a serious beat, but people respect what Chuck say. People listen to Chuck. You can't just say punch somebody. That's a whole different situation. Now, David Stern, you're right. He would jump into some stuff if it's beneficial for the league. But if it's a player that nobody really cares about, he's going to let that slide. So I agree with you to a certain extent. He put his foot down on certain stuff, but only when it was beneficial for the league, not just doing the right thing. He never did that.
I mean, even Stern was still commissioner when Barkley said LeBron, who was the best player in the league, made a punk move.
Right.
That could have been detrimental to the league, and he still let that. I'm just saying.
That's more defensible than what he did last night.
Right.
I think the whole.
I agree, but I'm just saying Stern didn't jump on Barkley.
I tend to think, and I can't wait to hear what Chuck says tonight. I tend to think he's looking at Draymond, who had some antics going on in the first half when he was hot. I think Chuck sees himself, because that's what kind of blew me away is like, well, hold on, Draymond is kind of the modern-day Charles Barkley.
With less skill.
Yeah, and so I think Chuck sees himself in Draymond and inappropriately expressed some frustration with what Draymond was doing. Because like, damn, you're doing the same thing I was doing.
But Draymond does a lot of stuff that Chuck couldn't do, too. Like, you can't say he's just way more talented than Draymond. Draymond does stuff that Chuck couldn't do. He's a better passer,
Defensive.
better teammate.
Better
teammate, better defender, yes.
All right.
Better practice player. For sure. Charles didn't practice.
Cowherd, you think Cleveland cruises to the finals now?
No, they're not Mike Tyson. There's no knockout punch here. I said this yesterday. They're Larry Holmes. They jab you a little bit, little body shots, outsmart you.
Let me toughen the question then. Do you think they make it to the NBA Finals?
It's after last night. It's closer. Last night was the first game that all the other guys played great. 4 teammates played great.
Exactly.
But listen, here's what the Eastern Conference is. We have one superstar player, LeBron. We have one superstar coach, Brad Stevens, and we have one prodigy, Ben Simmons. The rest of it is just filling tables. The rest of it's garnish. The rest of it's condiments. We got a superstar player, we got a superstar coach, and we got a prodigy. And the prodigy, again...
And Embiid, too. 2 prodigies.
When he's available. My prodigy is more available than your prodigy. But the point is that by the way, LeBron doesn't have great players around him anymore, so this is not Mike Tyson knocking guys out in the first round.
We went from a Game 7 against Indiana where we're like, man, they ain't going to make the finals, to one game now, and I think legit they will make it to the NBA Finals. I think that LeBron James, he got to back off a little bit, and his supporting cast did more. But to me, he was still great. I know he thinks his worst game of the season. So he shot 40% from the field. Everything else was tremendous. He got a triple-double. And he hit the shot. You know, that one shot to put him into overtime, to me, makes up for 40% shooting.
Too.
Yeah, and the defensive end. And so I don't think Philly's mature enough. Boston's way too hurt. And I know Brad Stevens is a magician. But, yeah, I think they get to the NBA Finals. They don't cruise by any stretch, but I think I'm not betting against LeBron.
But one thing people don't understand is on the way to an NBA championship, to get one of these, a lot of things have to go your way. You have to have a little luck. Cleveland has had a lot of luck in that first round. They started off with lucky with getting back in this game and winning this game 1 in Toronto. It's starting to favor them because, like I said, their role players are starting to play well, and LeBron can get a triple-double, not play well, and still win. I see them coming out the East.
It wasn't just that Jeff Green was good, or like Tristan was good, and J.R. Smith was good, and Korver was good.
They didn't woke up.
Yeah, to your point, the downside is basketball is very much above the shoulders, especially for shooters. It's now a shooters league.
Right.
That's what it is. It's not Charles Oakley, where he could go to the arena every night and I'm going to kick some arse, I'm going to play defense. It's a shooters league. Shooters can get stuff into their head. That team this morning feels like we got it back. Mm-hmm. We can all hit now.
I picked them to reach the East even when they were struggling with reach the finals, even though they were struggling with Indiana, and I feel better about that now. The role players, though, look, they still have. I'm not sure they're going to continue to do this every night,
right.
And that's why I do think, with you, like you said, they won't cruise. Mm-hmm. It'll be a struggle. I think Philadelphia could beat them. I would pick Cleveland, but Philadelphia is capable of beating them. I don't think Boston could beat them with this cast of role players. I don't think they could beat them.
As much as Colin thinks it's a shooters league, and there's truth to that, but I think in playoff time, it's about defense as much as anything. And their defense in the second half, and particularly in the fourth quarter, that's what was missing all regular season. It wasn't just that Toronto missed shots, because they did miss some layups, but the right people were actually shooting the ball, right. And that has to do with defense.
It has a lot to do with it, and defense wins championships. That's the old saying, and it's true. And people look at Golden State's offense, but their offense is a part of their defense. People don't understand that, and this is one of the best defensive teams in the league. Defenses win games, and if you're letting LeBron just walk to the basket and getting wide open shots for his role players, you don't have a chance.
Tristan Thompson, by the way, was dead. And like the last 3 games, he's become like the Tristan of last year. So maybe you can do that in the East. You can't do that against Golden State and Houston. He's a liability. But in the East, we're seeing Tristan Thompson for what they signed him for, 14-12. There's real value. Last night, there was real value with him.
If they can get their young guys to start playing well, then they really will be clicking. Because Rodney Hood, Larry Nance didn't even play last night.
Right.
Clarkson, because I don't know who you can count on for 19 points a night. Like one night
Well,
it
you
might
can.
be Corver. We know JR is going to be up and down. I can't count on Kevin Love anymore, but they just need 2 or 3 guys every game. It can be different guys, but somebody needs to fill out that scoring sheet.
They were watching our show. Because remember I said that teams need to pick on Kyle Korver? Toronto did that last night. That's how they got the big lead. They went away from it, let Cleveland back in the game.
He
But
got some
going at
great-
Kyle Korver, you go at him on when he's on defense, they'll take him out the game. That's one shooter you ain't got to worry about.